I think we've seen quite a cultural shift in the last generation or so from people insisting that the only things that can happen are things that we can quantify, things that we can weigh and put in balances and systems and so on, through to a much more postmodern, loose awareness that actually the world is full of very strange things. All sorts of odd things happen, and we've rather dismissed those and screened them out. And so people might well then say, so Jesus is just one guru among many, the resurrection may or may not have happened, but so what, all sorts of odd things happen. However, the Judeo-Christian scheme of thought always has been that history has been moving in a particular direction, and that there are certain things which the God who made the world and is basically steering the history, for better and for worse, wanted to happen and is causing to happen. And the early Christian claim was not, well, Jesus happened to have risen from the dead and so that was a miracle, but then there are lots of miracles, but rather that this is actually the turning point of history. This is the moment when a great door swings open that has been shut from the very beginning, because nobody has ever come back from the grave before. The Greeks and the Romans talked about people coming back from the grave as a kind of, wouldn't it be exciting if, but nobody ever actually said it had happened, and indeed many of them were quite emphatic that it couldn't and wouldn't and didn't. So when the Christians said not only that it would happen to all people in the future, but that it had happened to this one person in the middle of history, they were conscious of making, and we should be conscious that they knew they were making, the most extraordinary claim that something one-off has happened, but not as a bizarre freak accident, as it were, rather the central climactic decisive moment when the God who made the world in the first place launched his new creation. Surprisingly, a lot of Christians don't think about all that when they get to Easter Day, but that ought to be the very heart of it. This is the beginning of God's new world.